And welcome everybody to yet another edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge, presented by Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I am your host, Richard Holdridge. As always, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on Georgia Alabama Sports Live's Facebook page and YouTube channel, you can catch an episode as I break down all the score updates in and around the Chattahoochee Valley, mainly high school sports. But we'll talk about some other things in the Chattahoochee Valley to include the Columbus River Dragons. They have opened up training camp. They're going to have an inter-squad game this weekend. I'm excited about that. We had a busy day yesterday. I'll get into that. And I'll also break down all the high school football action in and around the Chattahoochee Valley. And don't forget, on Thursday's show, I will preview the upcoming week 9, and I will talk about where we're going to be for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Tomorrow's show, going to recap the volleyball and softball, and we might implement some girls flag football as well as I try to break down everything that happens around the area. All right, so we had a busy day yesterday. It started off with the press conference at Otis Spencer Stadium. The Midtown Showdown is officially here, and we are going to have it on Georgia Alabama Sports Live this Friday night. Otis Spencer Stadium, high school game day will be there. This is an event. It's Columbus and Hardaway. They have played before, but this is the inaugural Midtown Showdown, and they're going to play for a trophy. It is really cool, and it was great to see members of the media there at Otis Spencer Stadium, interviewed some players, some coaches, and we really talked it up. And don't forget that Office Hours, Real Life of an Athletic Director, is going to air tomorrow with Coach Kendall Mills, Coach Danielle McCoy. You also have Coach Joe Kegler and Coach Anson Hunley, all part of Office Hours. But this is going to be a very unique Office Hours because they could talk up the Midtown Showdown. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So yesterday, we did have several volleyball matchups. We had a softball matchup. I was on the call on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Calvary Christian gets the walk-off win over Schley County, 5-4. How about the freshman Brenley McKelvey, who had a 2-run double to walk it off as Calvary trailed 4-3 going into the bottom of the 7th inning, and McKelvey just walked it off, and Calvary ends up winning the game. They will face Brookstone today, and then on Thursday it is senior night as they are facing Strong Rock, as the top 8 teams in the GIAA will make it to the state tournament at the South Commons Softball Complex. It's a double elimination starting October the 17th, and it goes all the way to the 19th. All right, Glenwood falls in 3 sets to Lee Scott Academy, 3-1. And so it's their first region loss of the season. And we also had Northside ended up defeating Griffin in 2 sets, and they are 25-14. They are going to host the upcoming regional tournament that's going to happen on Wednesday. Don't forget, today we have got the region tournament that's going to be at Columbus. We got Sumter taking on Spencer, and we've got Columbus taking on Carver. The softball games, I will be on the call for Columbus Shaw, as that is going to be at Debbie Ball Field. 5:30 is the first pitch. Northside is on the road taking on Central Carrollton, and Sumter County is on the road taking on Hardaway. And then we also have Calvary Christian that's going to be hosting Brookstone. And so yesterday we had the Glenwood Coaches Show. Today we'll have the Harris County Coaches Show. On a Wednesday, we'll have the Pacelli Coaches Show, and we'll also have Office Hours, Real Life of an AD. And don't forget that Thrift Behringer's podcast, which will air Thursday, Unsolicited Hot Take. That is going to happen on Thursday as well. And this Thursday, I'll be on the call for Strong Rock Calvary, and we also going to try to live stream that Griffin Northside game that's going to be taking place at Kinnett Stadium. So we just have a jam slate of games, but let's go ahead and break down the Week 8 action in high school football. Like I always do every Tuesday, I break down all the scores. Let's start with the game I was at, as Carver gets a convincing 40-7 win over Shaw. Now, this is the first time that Carver has given up a touchdown in the last 3 games. They shut out their opponents 3 straight games, and Shaw was able to get a touchdown. I mean, Aaron Grant is special. I mean, he is a very good quarterback, but this Shaw defense, they actually helped their cause by stopping Carver twice in that first half. They stopped him again early on in the second half. But it's the Carver defense that has smothered opponents all season, and that's why they are title contenders in 2A. Shaw is just trying to make it to the playoffs, and Shaw's going to have a bye. They will take on Spencer in 2 weeks. Carver is also going to have a bye, and they will take on Sumter County on the 17th of October, and that could be for the region championship, as both teams are undefeated in region play. This was a big win for the Carver Tigers. Kelston Tarver had a kickoff return for a touchdown. He also had a touchdown run, and a very good win for Coach Pierre Coffey and the Carver Tigers. All right, the other games that we had on Georgia-Alabama Sports Live, Rex Castillo was at Lynn McWilliams Field for Calvary Pacelli. And Calvary just continues to improve. I mean, they had some bright spots in this game, but Pacelli has a lot of depth. They have a lot of great players. They've got a trio of running backs, as they have James Nelson, Zion Mabry, and Donovan Colvin. And John Thompson is their quarterback, and Pacelli just continues to improve. This was a team that started 0-2, and now they are looking good as they get ready for the Battle of the Brucelli Jug that's going to happen next week. Calvary, they will take on Westfield School, and they're trying to bounce back and just continue to improve as they make their first year into the GIAA. Harris County ends up defeating Griffin as they get back on top, as this was the homecoming game. And this was a little bit more closer than anticipated. Griffin is winless, but Griffin is fighting. And Harris County just continuing to do Harris County things. And I think that Harris County is setting themselves up for a massive showdown this week, as they will take on the Stars Mill Panthers, a team that went to the Final Four last year in 4A. So that's a team to watch out for, and they are undefeated. All right, and then finally, we on Georgia-Alabama Sports Live, we have Glenwood. It was their homecoming game, as they were able to beat Randolph County 68-40, as Glenwood is still undefeated. They will take on Dadeville this Friday, and Dadeville ended up getting their first victory of the season over Lee Scott Academy. Congratulations to Dadeville. Now that Lee Scott has 2 losses in the region, if Glenwood beats Dadeville next week, they will clinch the region. And so that is just a big deal because they have the tiebreaker with Randolph County. If Randolph County wins out, it doesn't matter who Glenwood plays, because Glenwood's going to end up winning the region, because they have 3 games left. Glenwood is taking on Dadeville, they're taking on Lee Scott, and they're taking on Sylacauga, and that is a non-region game. All right, probably the game of the night, but we couldn't live stream it on Georgia-Alabama Sports Live because of the NFHS network, and Central has their own broadcast team. It was the Auburn Central game. This was what everybody expected. Auburn did have a 38-27 lead. Omar Mabson, is he not the best running back in the state? I mean, he is very special. And I really think that this catapults Auburn to be that top team. And by the way, the new state playoff formats, Auburn can meet Central in the state championship. But you also have a team like Opelika, who hasn't lost since they lost to Auburn. Carver Montgomery, who lost to Enterprise. They'll come in to Garrett Harrison Stadium to try to dethrone Central. And I actually thought up to this point, Auburn looked like the better team. I mean, they blew out just about everybody on their schedule. Central struggled a little bit against Dothan. There was a very close game against Enterprise, and a very close game against Lutheran North. But I thought that this was just a great game, and the place was packed. This was the hottest ticket around, and Auburn still undefeated, and they were able to get the victory. All right, how about those Russell County Warriors? 6-1. Bryson Riggins had 2 more touchdowns, and he's got 19 on the year. Devin Brown with 16 rushing touchdowns, and Russell County, they get another region win on the road. And right now, that showdown against Pike Road could be for the region. Russell County will have a bye next week. In 2 weeks, they are taking on Pike Road, and then they are hosting Rehoboth, and we are going to have that on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And then they close out the regular season with Beauregard on their schedule. Hey, Northside got a rebound win on the road, taking on winless Mundy's Mill, 41-6 as a Northside. After losing to Harris County 21-0, it dropped them to 3-2, and this was a game they really needed. Now they got to regroup because they got a short week. They are going to take on Griffin Thursday night at Kinnett Stadium. All right, Opelika, I talked about them. They have continued rolling on, and they are 6-1, getting the win over Dothan. Dothan's 0-4 in the region. And a team that made the playoffs the last 2 years is struggling. Opelika trying to make the playoffs. They have not made the playoffs in 3 years. Last time they made the playoffs was when they were in 6A in the 2021 season. They made it to the second round of the playoffs. I think that Opelika, they have all the tools and resources to make the playoffs, even though it is a very tough region. All right, so some Thursday night action. LaGrange ends up beating Whitewater 42-14. I already talked about this game on Friday. Let's go up to Troup County, where, Troup County, they're actually playing this game in Thomaston, and they lose to Upson Lee 33-27. Troup County kind of struggling this year, but I still think that Troup County will make the playoffs. So will LaGrange. All right, Central Talbotton, they pick up their second win of the season by beating Chaco 34-21. Congratulations to the Central Talbotton Hawks. And we don't talk that much about Central Talbotton here on the show, but I wanted to make sure to give them some love here on the show. Jag ends up beating Smith Station 28-14. Seems like Smith Station just cannot catch a break. Even when some positives happen, they end up losing to a team that I personally think that they should beat. Now, Smith Station is a 7A school. They should have all the talent in the world to put together a great football team, and that is just not the case. I think that Smith Station is going to go winless. They did win one game last year. The year before, they won one game. I think that they take a step back and they don't get a win the entire season. It gets a little bit tougher because they have to go up to the Duck to face Auburn this Friday. All right, the rematch of the state championship. How about Manchester getting a win, avenging their loss to Bowden? They win 28-20. Remember, they beat Bowden in the regular season last year, but they lost to them in the state championship. The Manchester Blue Devils, their only loss on the season was way back in week 1 when they lost to Harris County. So congratulations to the Manchester Blue Devils. I talk about them all the time on the show. Justice Terry, the best defensive lineman in the entire state of Georgia. And what a great win. What a great win for the Kendrick Cherokees. On homecoming, Kendrick ends up getting the 41-0 win over the Jordan Red Jackets. Kendrick with running back Tymere Brown, Bukari Littles. He is a playmaker. Coach Mayo has him in at quarterback. And I look at Kendrick, and I do think they got some winnable games. They got Columbus. They got Hardaway. They got Shaw. I think Kendrick can sneak a couple more wins and have a very successful season. Already 2 wins on the season. Coach Mayo has got them with a lot of confidence. And this was a big win for the Kendrick Cherokees. All right, Spencer lost a heartbreaker to Sumter County. I mean, this is the second team from Columbus to lose to Sumter County by 1 point. Sumter County finds a way to close out games, and they are undefeated. And I cannot wait for that matchup against Shaw. And it's the 2 top teams in the region. Spencer is going to take on Shaw. Sumter County is going to take on Carver. And so I can't wait for those matchups in 2 weeks. And so with that being said, week 8 is in the books. Just a reminder that the GHSA did delay the postseason till November the 15th. So there will be a final regular season games on November the 8th, just in case anybody needed to reschedule their games, because there are still some teams in the affected areas that have not had a chance to play football. There's just so much to talk about today. We've got, River Dragons open up their training camp, and it will be open to the media. I will be in attendance. I'm excited about interviewing some River Dragons players and actually covering them here on the Sports Beat and on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, as the Columbus River Dragons' first game at home will be November the 1st, taking on the Mississippi Seawolves. They do have an inter-squad game coming up this weekend, but on the 18th, they travel on the road to take on the Monroe Moccasins, which is a new expansion team in the FPHL, along with the Athens Rock Lobsters, which is another expansion team. And so they're putting a lot more teams in the division with the River Dragons, which is going to be less travel, because they had to go all the way up to Watertown and Elmira and Beamonton, and they don't have to do that as much, and maybe not until the playoffs. So, they get to face teams like the Baton Rouge Zydeco and the Mississippi Seawolves and the Carolina Hurricanes. So the Carolina Thunderbirds. So, I think that's good for the Columbus River Dragons, and I can't wait to meet the team and try to attend some of the games this season. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, I've had a blast on this show. I try to go 20 minutes. This show is a little bit shorter than usual, but I do want to remind everybody that does watch this show to go ahead and like that Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I'll be at Shaw High School later today, live streaming the Columbus Shaw softball game. And this is going to be a big game, folks. I mean, this is really for the region, as Columbus is undefeated in region play. Columbus is already going to host a playoff match, getting ready for an opportunity to make it to the state playoffs. Only 8 get to make it to South Commons down in South Columbus. And Columbus was so close last year, losing to Pike County, but they're hoping that they could get into the state playoffs this year. So it's going to be a fun match, and I can't wait to see Columbus and Shaw. We got Thrift Behringer on the call for Brookstone Calvary. Calvary just has a lot of momentum after that walk-off win last night, taking on Brookstone. And Calvary right now currently ranked 4th in the GIAA. They just got to continue winning. They got a tough one Thursday night. That is senior night. They are taking on Strong Rock. Strong Rock is ranked 3rd in the GIAA rankings. So looking forward to that. Just keep an eye on all the events that's happening on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And thank you so much for watching another Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge scoreboard show on Georgia Alabama Sports Live's Facebook page and YouTube channel. Hope everybody has a great rest of your night.